Former President Donald Trump spoke at a rally in North Carolina earlier today. It was his first outdoor rally since the assassination attempt on his life during a similar event in Butler, Pennsylvania last month. His event today, alongside his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, is part of a packed week of campaign events meant to counter the Democratic National Convention during Trump's remarks. During Trump's remarks, he called out his White House predecessor.
Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president. And so was Michelle. You know, they always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy?
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is following the Trump campaign from North Carolina. So, Scott, the president talked about some foreign policy, his America First agenda. He also riled the crowd when asked if he should avoid personal attacks. What are some of your key takeaways from today?
This was a campaign event that the campaign said would be focused on defense and military issues. And at times it was, but he really did meander his way through these 50 to 60 minutes of remarks, often deviating from the teleprompter and often interjecting some cutting criticisms of the Democratic convention speakers, including President Biden, calling him old and saying it was too angry. He did criticize the Obamas for their blistering criticisms of him. And there were these moments in which he just seemed to fade from topic to topic, which is to a degree consistent at Trump rallies. But at this one, there were some noticeable differences. First of all, the setup. It was a bit smaller, more compact, with tighter security. You could see the bulletproof glass bowl that surrounded the stage and the podium. There were these containers stacked up. The roofs were being manned. There was drone surveillance, we've learned. And there was a smaller crowd. This was a crowd you can measure maybe in the hundreds, maybe 1,000 or two, much smaller than the crowd at Butler, Pennsylvania, July 13th. But there was this symmetry, Lindsay, between that event and this one. The political complexion of Asheboro, North Carolina, very similar to Butler. The makeup of the stage, the way the flag was hung with cranes diagonally above the stage, almost an exact replica of Butler as he returns to these open-air rallies between now and November 5th.
Let's talk about North Carolina. It's a swing state. Trump carried it in 2016 and 2020. How is he doing there now, and what are the issues driving voters there?
All kinds of campaigns like to talk all kinds of confident speak about where they're going to try to play, in what states they're going to try to win. Measure them by the amount of money and the amount of time they put into a state. And both campaigns, Lindsay, are putting a lot of money and a lot of time into North Carolina, an indication they recognize this is a key battleground state, not just a battleground state. The Trump campaign thought this is the right place to talk about the military in a state that's home to Camp Lejeune and Fort Liberty, but they also recognize that North Carolina represents what other battleground states represent, states that are winnable on other issues, including the economy, inflation. The vice president's campaign would argue this is winnable on the issue of women's reproductive rights and democracy. We'll see how much more time both sides play in North Carolina, but they've all been here a lot. And I can tell you, Lindsay, having been on the ground here, this state is just saturated with campaign ads.
I'm sure residents there are looking forward to this election being over. Scott MacFarlane, thank you.